Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now today we're going to be going over the chart for GME on a few different time frames to get an idea of what we got to expect over the next couple of days, going into the next few months here, based upon these the overall trend, what's happening on some bullish crossovers, as well as what we've seen on the platinum cross up and how movement has been playing to the upside for the last few months, and also is now gearing up towards a larger, more volatile move going into the next few months, probably into the beginning of September. All right, we're going to be going over the charts real quick here, looking at a few different indicators, getting an idea of what to expect in the next coming days, and we're going to do all of that and more right after this.
To the moon.
To the moon.
To the moon.
All right, so I have GME pulled up here on the 23-hour chart. Now, I use the 23-hour chart in order for us to be able to see what the chart is looking like, with including the after hours moves as well. It gives us the clearest picture of exactly how the stock has been playing out, as well as some of the overshot moves on the larger pushes that we've had in the previous squeeze, I guess you can consider it, after we broke out of this long-term 3-year trend line here to the upside, where we had to move up to about 80 bucks in post market. All right, now let's take a look here. We're going to first look at the 23-hour chart and just take a look and be mindful of a couple of different lines that I have here marked on the chart here. This is going to be the uprise that we have, or the uptrend overall from when the GME stock was at its lows, with a couple different touch points here, moving toward the upside, and as well as what I'm going to consider a speed line for the price action that we could potentially see going into the next several months. Now, be mindful of this. This is a trajectory, not necessarily written in stone. However, I do see that GME is looking towards moving into the several 100% or several hundreds within the next few months very easily, based upon, again, a few momentum crossovers, as well as what we're seeing in volume and just the overall bullish sentiment that this thing has over on the weekly time frame. Not the shorter time frames, but the weekly time frames, which is also confirmed with some of the shorter time frames, including the 4-hour, the 8-hour, and 12-hour. We'll take a look at all of those in just a minute here. But to get started here, we can see this trajectory we have here, that GME can actually do some damage over the next several months, depending on what actually happens. If this trajectory does hold true, GME can actually wind up hitting into the several hundreds, easily, probably even 1,000, depending on what happens in the next few years. Probably into 2030, you can be in this range, if not sooner. Breaking this larger bull pennant that we have here on the overall stock, you can see this red line is the resistance, topside resistance, which was briefly broken on that push up to $80 on this situation here. We also have the support here that was actually played out from the all-time lows of GME, which is that wind up holding, and now we're looking to continue on into this pennant. Shorter time frame, we actually have a smaller pennant that we've actually been building, which I'm expecting to eventually break to the upside. And we'll look at this closer to see exactly what's playing out. This is going to move over to the 4-hour time frame just to get a quick overview of what we're seeing here on the shorter span of time here. I am expecting a move on this thing over the next couple days, just for several different reasons. Going into first target, I'm looking at is about $41.52, followed by $56.68 on this potential move. And from I guess you can call it a fake out situation, we've been playing about on this bottom side of this this wedge here, or this bilateral triangle that's been showing bullishness ever since we've hit the lows of about $9-10 bucks. It's been holding well above this level, and also now starting to form a bullish channel to the upside after basically holding this bottom side of the pennant. All right, we had a lot of several tests here of this liquidity zone down and around the $22 range. You can see 1, 2. You also have a lot of double bottoms that GME loves to take part in. Right, push the stock right back up. See it here again in this $22 range. Push the stock back up, so on and so forth. You had 1, 2, again, total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tests of this bottom area, telling you that GME is not trying to go back into that $10 or the below $20 range, and is now looking to push up. So we'll look at a couple different patterns that I'm seeing here overall. First and foremost, we just talked about a minute ago, this pattern, which is the bull pennant that's playing itself to the upside above several different resistances, which I have specifically marked here in case you want to mark these off. These are going to be specific lines you want to be watching for break and acceleration on GME as we move into the next couple of days, probably going into about the next 4 weeks, I'd say at very most, before we start to hit those higher numbers, which again I'm looking at closer to about $100 by that point. As far as it's concerned, you can see obviously we have 6 tests of this liquidity zone. We push up this bull pennant. You can see we've been making higher lows and higher highs for the last several days. All right, higher highs. These yellow lines, darker ones, are going to be representing the creek lines that were very important to break. Obviously, when we broke these and having a few different tests of rejection here at that top creek line, this is 3 creek lines that are basically clustered together, which once we broke, we saw this huge boost of acceleration to the upside, which gave us that big move the other day, which is roughly about a 8% move on the day just by breaking those creek lines. This is very bullish, right? You see, we retested those creek lines and have been basically steadily climbing up to the upside, and we have been able to close above $20, $26, which is excellent. We've been looking for the $26 mark to hold, and it is here now, and it's looking like we're probably going to see some continuation on this thing slowly but surely, which is a better move in my opinion, rather than it being a quick move to the upside with high volatility, which only opens the doors for shorts to bring this thing back down. In my opinion, this move is more solidified and allows it to just find true price action and true price value in order for us to actually hang around those higher numbers, rather than just again being shorted back down to the lower numbers and getting a lot of folks stuck at the top. So in this case, this is a beautiful movement in my opinion. Taking a look here from this perspective, I like to use these Adam and Eve patterns when I see them, and I'll just point that out real quick. This is a bullish sign here. All right, just pay attention to this particular pattern. You can see it here. It's a little bit elongated because of the move that was pretty volatile and shorted back up, but again, it is apparent. This is a V shape. This is a U shape, starting to formulate itself here. Looking to break above 29 and eventually again towards this target one that averaged 41.52. The second move, if we do break this downtrend, which I'm expecting to do quite soon, look to see a retest of 29, get this move here, and then go and break this downtrend to hit 56.68. If you move towards that 56.68 and we break this downtrend, that's when I expect the volatility to kick in quite. All right, now taking a look at this thing from a momentum perspective, you can see that GME has just recently picked up a cross of momentum to the upside on the 8-hour chart. But not only has it picked it up on the 8-hour chart, it's actually now fully and effectively picked it up on the 12-hour chart, which is huge. All right, now this basically means that GME has legs to start to make its push, probably again going into the end of the month, which is the end of the month, July, probably towards that $41 mark, probably by the 24th. We'll go and take a look at that and just measure it out to see when the last time this took place was. All right, you basically had last time this cross took place on the momentum side was basically back here, right? Back here, which is on May 2nd, 2024, where you had the push toward the upside after this cross on the 12-hour time frame. This was roughly about before, once it actually occurred, to the height of the move. Again, there's several other reasons that the move actually happened. However, it was still a nice move to the upside based upon just this cross up alone. Now, basically what you got here from entry or from cross up to about the highs, dates wise, that's what we're talking about dates wise. This is about 15 bars, which landed us to about May 14th, 2024. All right, so roughly about a 2-week period before the move actually started to develop itself from this cross up. All right, so if we were to go ahead and extrapolate that and move that towards where we are now from the date of past Friday's date, about 15 bars, would roughly put us somewhere in this range here of about July 23rd. July 23rd would basically be the time frame I'd expect for us to start to head toward that $40 mark, which is a great spot because that lines up very well with the July OPEX or monthly expiration dates that we should be seeing some volatility on. So with this being looked at from this perspective, I can definitely see GME making those moves toward the upside. The fear should start diminishing based upon a few different things we just pointed out. So I'm looking for some positivity to be happening on this thing going forward. But again, $29 is going to be a very big area to break. And again, I have this marked here for our resistance lines to be concerned with. These are the ones that are going to be the ones that are toughest. The gray top one is marked at a 29.49. I'm going to make this a little clearer so you guys can see them. Burn them into your brain, mark them down, whatever you got to do, just to be prepared for the locations that are going to give us some issues before we actually make the cross. Again, based on a monthly time frame, these are going to be probably not going to be too bad, but we can expect to get knocked around. Look at them as profit targets if you're going to be playing any calls. But in my opinion, you're looking really bullish overall. And as far as GME's situation on some oscillators that I'm using here, you can take a look and see that GME's TTM squeeze is now starting to push bullish on the 2-day chime chart. You see that there's weakness starting to show itself on this end from the TTM squeeze, as well as the KDJ has just recently crossed up. You can see momentum starting to push to the upside. That should also in a minute start to turn the KST, a no short thing indicator, to the upside again for that push, which I believe some volatility should start coming in again over the next couple of weeks, going into OPEX and further into the beginning of August. So roughly again about a 3-week time frame before the end of the month and into the new month, where we should start to see GME really start making some moves, guys. So yeah, be on your best behavior. You know, make sure you're protecting yourself and opportunities here, guys, to really make some money on this thing. So good luck. Looking forward to this thing moving up, and I hope you are too. Now, taking a look at this thing from a momentum perspective, once again, now on the monthly time frame, I want to make it very clear what we're really paying attention to, because outside of this, the shorter time frames just discussed on the 8-hour and the 12-hour, those are more the short-term moves. But we really want to be cognizant of what's happening on the longer time frames, which is very important to this move up higher to the multiple hundred location. In my opinion, that's going to most likely happen with GME. And it's based upon the monthly time frame, and I have the monthly time frame pulled up for us here. And I just want to make it clear that we're looking for this particular cross. You can obviously see that the cross up is starting to gear up to the upside. And when I take a look at this from an extrapolated view, kind of getting an idea of what this thing is looking like over the next little bit, I have this trajectory playing itself out for a cross up, a momentum cross up here between these two lines, happening by August 1st, 2024. All right, this is going to play into the inside of this time frame, and again, the end of July, going into August. We obviously discussed being somewhere in the $40 range to potentially the $50 range, but the cross up for the monthly time frame is scheduled. If this is correct and extrapolated properly, I'm expecting the monthly time frame momentum cross to take place on the 1st of August. Now, taking a look at this, which is pretty crazy, pretty interesting, but it is a very viable setup here. The last time this monthly crossed to the upside, you had a 3,600% move to all-time highs within a 34-day period. All right, this is a 34-day period. Basically, if this was to happen, this cross was to happen on August 1st, which is what it's looking like currently, we'd look at, for let's say, a 3,500% move. We get a 3,500% move from current location, which I believe would be much higher by the time that actually happens. Again, probably in the $40 range, $40 to $50 range, somewhere around there. But we're going to say it's from this particular range of about 26 bucks, let's say, sideways trades. Who knows? However, we did a 3,500% move. Yeah, you can see what we potentially be talking about. I mean, I don't think it's going to go straight up like this. It is possible. However, you completely blow out this whole entire trajectory we talked about earlier on. I don't see this being the case, but I can definitely see this thing continue to rise up towards the marks that we discussed earlier on. So in my opinion, it's going to most likely play the Elliott wave. Right now, I believe we are in the third wave heading up towards this mark that I have here, specifically 214.08, which is the top of the third wave in my opinion. Now, the time frame and the amount of time it's going to take is the variable here we have to pay attention to. But in my opinion, on third wave, we will touch about 214.08 before retracing back to the current all-time high, roughly around the 125, 127 mark, before making the fifth wave push, which should land us somewhere around 365, somewhere in that area. And just by taking a trend-based fib from this perspective, you can get an idea what we're talking about here. Most likely in this particular case or setup, I can expect us to be touching at least the golden pocket or the 707 Fibonacci, which is up here at 386.27. But again, my target in this case is around 365. So in reality, it'd be somewhere in that range, definitely around the $300 mark, in my opinion. This can continue to go. It can go higher. We don't know if it does decide to really squeeze like we think it could potentially do. It has the legs for it, like we've been talking about, just based on trajectory. However, we got to just, again, play it based on the TA and play it from there, because, again, this has potential to do some real damage to the markets. So from Elliott wave perspective, we got wave 1, ended wave 2, in my opinion, heading to wave 3. Land is about 214.08. Wave 4 would bring us back up to previous all-time highs, and then wave 5 can be somewhere in this 365 range, in my opinion. We talked about that location on the extension. Could bring us up to about 387 before a ABC correction back downwards, probably somewhere a little bit lower, probably back as low as previous all-time highs back in the $100 range or lower, possibly even $80. So it is possible to see this type of a retracement, an overshot of this area, which is, again, that the speed line at the top. I expect us to go and touch that, be in this area, and then this is going to be a short location to probably push back down for the next reaccumulative move to push us up into those higher numbers down the line. But overall, I really don't see any fear behind GME at all. GME looks fantastic. I think there's some really, really positive things that are going to come out of this company, obviously from a perspective of where they are strength-wise, capital raise, potential of what they could take over in terms of being a potential force in investing in other companies. Just having the capital to sit on in order to do those type of things can be the potential another Berkshire Hathaway in that space, whatever space they choose. Who knows? In this case, GME looks fantastic. Really, no worries behind it. I think this is a great opportunity for everyone to make money on this thing, whether you're not going to hold shares, buy calls, whatever the case may be. There is possibility for downside. We don't know, so do protect yourself if you're going to be going in on this thing from a different perspective, or just make sure you're protecting yourself regardless. And yeah, it's looking like a real positive next couple of months going into about September. As we talked about, from August 1st, if you get this cross up on August 1st and it does decide to go up there, I'd look by September easily. September, first week of September, somewhere around there, to be again in this $300 range, $200 to $300 range, before potentially coming back down to retest. That's basically going to be GME for you. If you like videos like this, if you want me to continue to do these type of things, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, we'll be on live every single day between the hours of 10 and 12 to go over different charts, so on and so forth. Have a good time listening to music and the whole nine. Check us out there on the regular. So that's about it from me. Join us on the way up every single day, run our portfolios together and making the outcome income. All right, we're going to see you next time around. Take it easy.